16 down, 8 remain as we hit the quarterfinal stage of Euro 2020 in 2021. Welcome to Rabona TV. I'm Adrian, and today we'll go through the 4 matchups that will be played out on Friday and Saturday, to make sure that you are totally up to date on everything up to this point in the competition. And speaking of which, a big thank you to our sponsors of this video, OneFootball, who have been keeping me up to date on all things Euro 2020 thanks to their free app. Linked below, of course. OneFootball provides you with the best app for all things football this summer, including the fastest breaking news, the ability to track the clubs and countries you care about for a customized newsfeed, live updated match stickers for when you're on the go, videos, and so much more. So use the link in the description for a free download on iOS or Android. Stay up to date on all things football throughout Euro 2020 and the club football season, and you'll help out an independent creator like me as well. Thanks, OneFootball, and let's get into the preview. The first quarterfinal to kick off will see 2 of the teams that went the distance in the previous round. Switzerland, fresh off of their shootout win against France, and Spain, coming into this after they needed extra time to finish off Croatia. One team blew a 2-goal lead at the end of the match, while the other clawed their way back in. Switzerland, the ones who closed the 2-goal gap against France, will come into this with a massive buzz about the squad, eliminating the current world champions. I mean, that's no small feat. And it was the first knockout round match that they have won at a major international tournament since 1938 in that World Cup, which is just ridiculous. The jubilation was warranted, not just because of their heroic performance, but the end of that 83-year winless run in knockout stages. The Swiss side is the culmination of Petkovic's work over the 7 years that he has been in charge now. Since adopting the 3 at the back, he has made the Swiss to be a very difficult team to beat, unless you're Italy, of course, where Petkovic actually apologized following that 3-0 loss, which was a major blip on their record. I've been following Switzerland fairly closely ever since Portugal was in the same 2018 World Cup qualifying group with them, in which Portugal just finished ahead of them on goal difference. And the makeup of the squad, or at least the main protagonists, the core, have been around for a long time. The core of Seferovic, Embolo, Shaqiri, Xhaka, Rodriguez, Elvedi, Akanji, Sommer, Zuber. Guys like this have been ever present in Petkovic's 3-5-2 formation, and as I mentioned a moment ago, this has the feeling of it being sort of the apex of Petkovic's work so far with the Swiss national side, or at least the highest he's managed to take them, both, well, in a competition and performance-wise. Unfortunately for Switzerland, one of the main pieces to this side will be suspended. Xhaka will be out with a yellow card, so perhaps we could expect to see Zakaria from Borussia Mönchengladbach as a replacement. Similarly to how it feels like we are starting to see the best of Petkovic's side, Luis Enrique's Spain is really starting to find their form now. After a slow start to the tournament in which their attack labored, they have truly made up for that in the last 2 matches, scoring 10 goals against Croatia and Slovakia. And I know, insert, well, actually, they scored 11, har joke here. And while the attack is producing, it's not as though they are clinical and finish every chance they generate. Even against Croatia, the likes of Koke and Morata were misfiring. I'm curious to see if Enrique changes up the center back pairing once again, or if he sticks with Laporte and Garcia, as La Roja looked much better with those 2 pairing each other, rather than Laporte and Pau Torres. Once Eric Garcia came off, in the attack, I think it's a lock to have Sarabia, Morata, and Ferran Torres all together, and the only question will be, again, with the few chances that Switzerland afford them, can they finish them off? Excellent signs from Sarabia and Torres. Morata misfiring a bit, but he did ultimately score against Croatia. I wouldn't expect too many goals in this one, as neither Switzerland nor Spain have scored more than 1 goal against each other in their last 4 meetings, dating all the way back 11 years to 2010. Their recent matches were as tight as they can get, a 1-0 victory for Spain in Spain and a 1-1 draw in Basel. I think that Switzerland can defend just as well as Sweden did against Spain at the beginning of this tournament, but the loss of Xhaka to their midfield cannot be understated. Koke and Busquets against Freuler and Xhaka is a tasty battle, but like in the tie in general, without Xhaka, it's advantage Spain at this point. Belgium find themselves in another this should be a final type of matchup, as they will take on Italy in Munich. Belgium have been able to keep 3 clean sheets in this tournament, just as Italy have. In fact, Italy had their long 10+ match clean sheet run snapped against Austria, and I think the Austrians may have provided Italy with a bit of a surprise. All tournament long, and even pre-tournament, Italy have played fantastic football, the kind of football that you would expect of a club team that trains together for 8 or 9 months of the year. The 4-3-3 looks fantastic, with the addition of Verratti over Locatelli having no drop off in Italy's quality at all, as one would expect. And in fact, Italy showed that their bench is just as dangerous as their starters, with Chiesa and Pessina coming on to score for Italy in extra time against Austria. I mean, as if we needed reminding that their bench is strong, though, when you can bring on Chiesa, Locatelli, and Pessina. But against Austria, their resolve was tested in a major way, and Austria was close to providing a shock via the goal that Arnautovic had called back and the penalty claim that was cancelled as Liner was offside. This was the first time I'd really seen the Italians sweat during this tournament, and it would have been a wake-up call for them, I'd imagine. Italy will be dealing with something completely different in this match though, with respect to Wales, Switzerland, Austria, and Turkey. Belgium is a completely different beast, as they are the #1 ranked team in the world for a reason, and you could argue that they are the favorites in this game. Maybe tournament favorites at this point as well. Belgium could have 2 notable absentees up against Italy, however, as both Eden Hazard and Kevin De Bruyne are in a race to recover before Friday's kickoff. Belgium were without them for the first 1.5 matches of the group stage, and against Denmark, easily their toughest opponent in the group stage, they looked quite poor without both De Bruyne and Hazard on the pitch to start. They labored in the attack, unable to string anything together between the midfield and the attack, and the match completely changed once Kevin De Bruyne entered. They of course had both players against Portugal, but were happy to sit back and invite pressure from Portugal. Perhaps you could say that they were a bit lucky to not concede a goal, but overall the plan from Martinez to sit back and let Portugal have the ball was, just short of a masterstroke in my opinion, as he would have known how much Portugal struggles to break down teams that sit deep, and it worked. It'll be interesting to see what route Belgium take in this one. Do they go for the jugular and risk Italy's lightning fast transition from defense to attack, blowing by their aging back line? Or do they sit back and try to do the same to Italy? They have the means to do either, but the health of Hazard and De Bruyne will ultimately dictate how much of the ball they really want to have. Saturday starts with the Czech Republic against Denmark and Baku, 2 sides who have played each other often, so long as you count the matches when the Czech Republic was part of Czechoslovakia. Denmark come into this match having won 11 of their previous 15 matches, 2 of the 4 drop points coming in this Euros group stage, where they lost to Finland and of course to Belgium. Considering the terrifying start they had to the tournament, they have grown into this very well, where Spain has scored 10 in their last 2 matches. Denmark has managed to score 8, with big wins over Russia and Wales. In Eriksen's stead, plenty of players have stepped up in offense, such as Mikkel Damsgaard, giving defenses plenty to think of, Martin Braithwaite playing very directly, Dolberg showing off his finishing touches, and the injured Yusuf Poulsen was a constant threat while he was healthy as well. Hjulmand's side has been very, very positive, going forward as much as possible, driven forward by Højbjerg in the midfield, with their aim being to attack, and this is why they have endeared themselves to so many neutrals. Beyond overcoming the trauma of their first match, of course, their play style is extremely attractive, with the fullbacks such as Strikker Larsen and Mæhle joining the attack and grabbing a couple goals in the process. Plus, with the likes of Christensen, Kjær, and Vestergaard at defense, they have had answers at the back as well. Against Wales, they were superb, looking as though they would score with every attack in that second half, but they will be up against a far more compact side that's difficult to break down in the Czech Republic. The Czechs famously eliminated the Netherlands with a 2-0 win that saw Frank de Boer step down from his position as a result of that loss. That's how potent the Czechs are. No, I think it was going to happen no matter when the Netherlands went out. But honestly, the Czechs have been one of the surprises of the tournament for me. I didn't expect them to get out of their group, and I certainly didn't expect them to make it as far as the quarterfinals. And now they have every right to dream of the semifinals. Souček and Soufal have been the standout performers for me, at least, though you have to give massive shoutouts to Kalisz and of course Patrick Schick, Golish as well for the role he played against the Netherlands, but Schick as the lone man up top, he's looked great. The 4-2-3-1 that Silhavi has played has a lot of defensive stability, and the Czechs do look decent going forward, often that right side of the pitch being the danger side. That's the side that Soufal plays on. Their shared history with Denmark is about as tight as you can get. In their last 6 matches, there have been 5 draws and a single victory, that going in Denmark's favor, but that was way back in 2013. These are two very different sides now, and with all things considered, with how closely knit this Danish side is after what they've been through, how they've grown into this tournament, and their winning record over the last 15 matches, I'd say that they just have the edge. For the first time in this tournament, England will have to travel away from Wembley, but a simple Ryanair to Rome will bring the It's Coming Home brigade to the Olimpico for England versus Ukraine. Ukraine, of course, had to play an extra 30 minutes of football against Sweden, and once they had gone a man up, they were able to steal a goal right at the death of extra time to book a date with England. Of course, they only found out they were even advancing from the group stage right at the death, as it was touch and go from Shevchenko's side. After looking so good in qualifying for the tournament, finishing ahead of Portugal, for example, Ukraine leaked 3 against the Netherlands, but still scored twice thanks to the brilliance of Yaremchuk and Yarmolenko. They got a narrow win against North Macedonia and fell to Austria. They looked especially poor in that loss to Austria, abject at times. But one thing's for certain, if England do have a defensive lapse, Ukraine does have the quality to punish them for it. They won't trouble the English backline too often, but with Zinchenko whipping in crosses to Yaremchuk and Yarmolenko causing issues down the right, and what will likely be a 3-5-2 formation from Shevchenko, they won't be able to afford any lapses. This tournament has proven as much, hasn't it? I do worry about the defense from Ukraine, as I think the English attack will have some fun and come into this very confident. Sure, they've struggled to score at times, 2 goals from their opening 3 matches, but they matched that number in just one 90-minute stretch against Germany, no less. As we finally saw Harry Kane get some service, and Raheem Sterling's purple patch in this tournament continued for England. He has certainly justified Gareth's choice to include him in every starting 11 in this tournament. I do wonder how Southgate will approach this one, and knowing that Germany was going with a 3-4-3, he opted for a 3-4-3 as well, and to great effect. My guess is that he will continue with this shape, but the 4-3-3 is always an option also. With Mount available again, he may start ahead of Saka alongside Kane and Sterling. I think that England will be the obvious choice to go through here. Who knows, perhaps this tournament will surprise us once again, but it doesn't feel likely given how Ukraine have struggled at times in this tournament against teams who boast true quality in the attack. So, what do you think? Are England going to get to play another match at Wembley, as that's where the semi-finals are? Will there be any major surprises in this round, or will the craziness of Euro 2020 be replaced with predictability now? Make sure to let me know in the comments and subscribe if you're new around here for more Euro coverage. But beyond that, I appreciate you watching and have a great day. Ciao.